Hello out there. This is Suike Novus finally back bringing you another episode 10, which is an episode I've been looking forward to for a while. Episode 10 has a lot of benchmarks in it that I'll try to explain as we get through it, but it's number one, the end of the key fragment chapter, which means we're about 75% through with the game. We fixed the world and now we just need to, well, we'll go into that more later. Went ahead and skipped past the first dungeon because there's yet and still no real reason to show it, and we're just going to go ahead and pick up the key fragment and go and find Histoire. And a lot actually gets explained in this chapter, but not a lot happens in this chapter. Well, in this episode. So we'll get to that as we get to it. But another cool thing that's going to happen is this in this actual episode, I'm going to spend an entire dungeon in English because me and one of my subscribers were having a conversation, and he was wondering if it got annoying listening to it in Japanese. And I explained it, and I've explained this in episode 9, but I'm re-explaining it in episode 10. So there's a couple reasons why you normally default to Japanese whenever you play JRPGs, but we'll come back to that when we get to that point. So we finally have the last key fragment, so we need to figure out how to find Histoire, and we're also kind of wondering what kind of person Histoire is. And Histoire is a very interesting character. She does come back in later games, so well, I don't even know why I said that, but she's a very interesting character. She is. Said it multiple times, but she is the world's everything, and the world is her everything. And to explain that statement, I would have to explain the way that this entire game works, which I'll probably explain that probably in the one of the next episodes I do, because it would be easier to restate everything that's going on in the story and what everything means in one great big old chunk instead of doing it in pieces. And I'm not necessarily sure if we showed the intro to Planet Neptune, so I'm showing it here again just in case. It's kind of funny that Planet Neptune looks so futuristic for something that is based off something that completely failed. Now, after the next event, you're going to see me switch into English. Just this is just to show what the English voice actors sound like. And the only voice actor I can remember off the top of my head, well, I can remember the Japanese ones, which I'm going to explain in one of the later videos. But the only English voice actor I can remember off the top of my head is still Melissa Fawn, who's the voice of a few anime characters that everyone knows. But in this event, we're essentially just standing around trying to figure out where Histoire is, because we really don't have any clue. We don't know how to find her. We just have the key fragments. And in a second, it's going to be explained to us that the key fragment should lead us to wherever she is. This is actually the very first time we've heard Histoire outside of a dream. Well, number one, and number two, this is also going to be the very first time that IF and Kampa can also hear Histoire. Now, the reason why the other goddesses couldn't hear Histoire, we're not necessarily sure of. Maybe it's because Neptune's brain is kind of empty at this point. We just don't really know. That translation is actually rather accurate. And oddly enough, they sealed, or whoever sealed Histoire, wherever they sealed Histoire, sealed her on planet Neptune, which is a little weird. I don't necessarily know why you would do that. I would probably say the smartest place to seal her would, no. I guess away from Celestial would be the best place. But that still wouldn't, there's not really a good best place to put her. And don't worry, very few places in this game actually look unique. As a matter of fact, there's only one place that looks unique, and that's Celestia itself. And what's funny is, in the next game I'll be playing, if I get to it in time, Trinity Universe, Celestia looks like a lot of places in Trinity Universe. But here, I'm going ahead and changing the voice from Japanese, the voices from Japanese to English. So I actually don't have to explain a lot of what's going on. Yeah, you hear that? That's what the English voice acting sounds like in this game. That's actually Melissa Fawn. Who is that? No, it's not. That song, Compost, is voiced by... And there is your Tsunami Crew shout out there. Plus things like that just sound silly in English. And sorry about the volume boost. This area is actually naturally louder just because in editing I made this a natural volume instead of the volume after I turned it down and turned my voice up.
This'll be a good practice. Special attack, go!
Be prepared.
Okay, maybe I was wrong.
That was easy.
This dungeon also trips me up a little bit because I always, almost all the dungeons you're supposed to go up. It's whatever path is furthest from the entrance. But this dungeon is one of the very few dungeons that sends you downward to find the event. So this one always throws me off. I actually went the right way this time, but all the other playthroughs, I went the opposite direction. And that's the reason why I stopped there, because I was not sure.
I have been waiting for you. It must have been a difficult journey around the world. I am glad everyone has made it safely. Thank you so very much for gathering the key fragments. Hello? Where are you, Isty? Where's the girl with the cute voice? Here, Isty. Come on out, girl. I am the book before you. I am a tome. I contain all information regarding this world. So this book is Isty, huh? Oh, right. What do we do next? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm sure if we put the fragments together, something will happen. Like a puzzle? One track. Let me give it a try. I'll help you too. Well, this one obviously goes here. Oh, that one's on this edge. What's it supposed to look like anyway? Maybe we should just stack them like a totem pole. Oh, it's glowing! Thank you. Now I am freed from that seal. Nice to meet you. I'm Isty. Rather, Histoire. She sounds kind of the same, but it's not really what I expected. Sure. I look a little different when I'm a tome, like a book. Minor changes are normal. Okay, so Isty is just Nep's pet name for you. Anyway, that's one down. What are we doing now? We're gonna go after Overlord Momus and R4. We're not done yet. We didn't find either of them, even though we were zooming all over the world. Got any cryptic metaphors for us, Isty? Unfortunately, rather fortunately, Overlord Momus does not exist. It was all fabricated by R4. R4 disguised herself to suit various situations. All of these are complete falsities. To top it off, you all actually have bought R4.
No. Wait, so Momus is all pretend, and R4 is the one spreading stories about him?
We heard this story from a heretic.
Heard this story from a heretic first, who heard it from an evangelist. She came to us about it too at one point. But that evangelist was like a witch who was all stalking and attacking us. That was also Momus's messenger, huh?
Sometimes she's an evangelist, sometimes the Overlord's messenger. She was doing this all to achieve one end.
In that case, we've already beat up R4.
No, all those fabrications were mirrors of her true self she created. Did you not notice? On each land you dealt with some sort of scheme she created.
She did keep coming back over and over, but they were all different lands. I just thought they kind of looked similar.
What was her objective?
So what was her objective? She's been involved in a whole lot. I don't have any idea who she is.
True. There is still much I have to tell you. How about we find a place we can have a more comfortable discussion?
And that's all I can take of the English voices. So switching back to the Japanese ones. Hopefully I thought I had to drop the volume.
さて、一体どこから話しましょうか。と言っても、私が知っていることも。そうですね。まずは私のこと。深海。女神様が住んでるところです。はい。私はもともと女神様。
Now the relationship between the CPUs and Histoire is a little, it's easy to explain, but it's also complicated at the same time.
それってどんな力です？私一人では
The CPUs can't do anything on their own, and neither can Histoire. If you imagine game industry like a computer, Histoire would be like admin privileges, able to control everything inside game industry, but she can't do anything on her own. So there are people classified as technical admins, which would be the CPUs themselves. They are the ones who have the actual power to change anything, but they can't really do anything on their own. They need those privileges, and the privileges can't do anything on their own either. So that's sort of the relationship, and it's easier to think of that way than the way that they explain it here.
私の中身を書き換えられるの。
And since this game actually treats everything like the consoles like it's a world and the console war like a world, it's very easy. It wouldn't be hard to see where they came up with this kind of concept.
想像の力の像の部分？そう
And
で
I have no other idea why I'm getting artifacts. Well, I know why I'm getting artifacts from here, but it's the only way I can do this kind of editing.
なんていうか、持つ持たれつ、ぐんずほぐれつな感じだったんだ。捉えようによっては確かに組んだりほぐれたりしていたかもしれませんが、なんか違い。ひとまず私のことは分かっていただけましたね。あなたたちを妨害し、全てを裏で操っていたのは先代の女神様マジェコンヌはなぜか世界を滅ぼそうとしています。モンスターを取り出し人を襲わせているのに女神様への信仰心。異端者さんのディスクだ。異端者さんのディスクだ。そっか、女神様なら。
So R4 is a previous goddess. As a matter of fact, she's the one who came before the four goddesses that we have now. And the reason why the four goddesses exist, we're going to go in a little bit more into later on in the future.
ルビーのガナッシュ。表向きは企業や教会、そしてギルドの暴走に見えますが、それらを各
名前で言われても意外にピンとこないもんだ。
とにかく マゼコンヌの目的は世界破壊。真意は分かりませんが、放っては。マゼコンヌがどこでも、マゼコンヌがどこにいるかなんて全然分かんないよ。それともその必要。
And if we go back to the original sort of premise of admins being over a computer and each of the CPUs being an admin, R4 was an admin for them. So she was the one who gave them their admin privileges and designed their accounts, technically. And this is all a long string of things that has been going back since the original goddess created this sort of system. So why wouldn't she try to take over the land when she had all the power? Well, it's probably suggested that there are kind of rules to being a goddess, and there's things that you can and you cannot do while you're a goddess, and that might be the reason why we have different goddesses now, and the former goddess is now trying to take over things because she no longer has that responsibility. Who really truly knows? That's just the way that I prefer to think about it. And R4 really is one of the hardest bosses in the game, probably the hardest boss in the game. There's very few bosses that are harder than R4, except for a few of the extra ones, like the 4 dragons, the 6 dragons, one of those 2. King Yan and Queen Yan are pretty difficult as well. Yang.
ネプテューヌさん、お二人もこうい。
Anyway, that explains who's behind everything, but we still have a little bit more to explain before we're done with this episode.
ネプテューヌさん、言おうか言うまいかずっと迷っていました。今真面目な話。いいえ、聞いてください。お二人にも知っておいてもらった方が。もしかしてネプネプの記憶に関わることですか？そうです。ネプテューヌさんが忘れてしまったとっても。実はネプテューヌさんはプラネテューヌの女神様なのです。
Not really. Everyone who's been playing this game and everyone who's watching this video should already know that. Matter of fact, IF already knows that. But, of course, in the game, no one really truly knows this.
そうですよね。急すぎて言葉もないですよね。私は割と予想はしてたから、そっかーって感じの間だけど。
And of course, the obligatory response.
ネプネプが女神様ですか？どこのです？パビオニュー、イリシャ、パビオニュー。期待通りの反応ありがとう。ネッポは？
So I'm assuming everyone who plays this game kind of pretty much reacted exactly like IF did.
本当に私でいいんですか？なんで急にそんな展開になる？やっとその異常さに気づいたのね。空から降ってきたり地面に刺さったり、他の女神様が一斉に下界に降りてきたって、いろんなあまりにもバカバカしいと自分では思ってたけど、どうして下界に落ちたかは知りませんが、封印されている私の子に。私でいい？本当に私でいいの？誰がいい悪いではなく、ネプテューヌさんは生まれたと。でも私女神様とか初体験です。大丈夫です。別に何かしなくても守護の力は。
And powers are really specific as well. The more shares the goddess has, the more powerful they are, and that's pretty much how much the people believe in them. Which kind of sort of is the way that it works out here in the real world. The more people who are fans of a certain console or a certain company, the more power they wield over the gaming world. But anyway, this episode's going to run a little bit long because I still forgot to sign out and pay attention to my timer. But anyway, that's it for episode 10. Next episode will be probably episode 11, in which I will try to finish as much of this game as possible. Anyway, Suike Novus, signing